Hello everyone, and welcome to my B&B Fan Club channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before we begin, please hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. The rain came relentlessly over Los Angeles that night, turning the winding canyon roads into black glass mirrors. Luna's hands grasped the steering wheel of her small white convertible, as if the leather might hold her to the world that was spinning out of control. She had just left the Cliff House after another intense encounter with Steffi, and the words "You're poison, Luna" were still echoing in her ears. "You'll never be a part of this family." The headlights of an approaching truck blinded her for a short, fateful second. Then metal screamed, glass exploded, and the canyon devoured everything. When paramedics arrived at the wreckage 23 minutes later, they discovered Luna unconscious, blood streaming from her temple, and her body twisted at an unimaginable position across the passenger seat. But cuddled against her chest, miraculously unscathed behind the deployed airbag, was Poppy's infant daughter, 6 weeks old, pink-cheeked, and screaming at the top of her little lungs. The infant has been saved. Luna had wrapped herself around the infant like a living shield in the few moments before impact. The child's cries were the only sound to break through the hiss of steam and the crackle of flames licking at the undercarriage. The event in the hospital played out like an unscripted nightmare. Liam came through the emergency room doors, wet from the storm, his face the color of ash. Finn followed seconds after, still dressed in or scrubs and with frantic eyes. Hope arrived gripping Poppy's arm, both of them shivering so violently they could barely stand. Then there was Bill Spencer, storming in as if he owned the concept of tragedy itself, demanding answers that no one had yet provided. "She's alive," Dr. Finley said gravely. "However, the head trauma is significant. We have stabilized several fractures and internal bleeding, as well as considerable brain swelling. The infant is flawless, not a scratch. Whatever Luna did in that car saved her life." Bill clenched his jaw. "And Luna? We won't know the extent of the brain damage until the swelling has subsided. She's in a coma." Poppy collapsed into Hope, letting out a strange moan from her throat. Liam stood motionless, staring through the glass at the frail girl linked to machines, the same girl who had screamed at him just hours before that she was his daughter whether he liked it or not. The girl who had drugged his father, attempted to murder Steffi twice, and had descended so far into darkness that no one knew how to bring her back. Nevertheless, she had saved a baby, her own cousin. She had no reason to defend this innocent life. Finn looked away from the window, his shoulders tense. "She turned her body at the last second," he explained quietly. "The skid marks and the way the car seat was crushed, she purposefully protected the infant. That was not instinct. That was a choice." Steffi came, her hair glued to her face and her eyes red but dry. She recognized Finn's expression after just one look. "She did it on purpose," Steffi murmured. "Even after everything she's done, she saved her." No one responded. There was nothing to say. 14 days later, the machines beeped with less urgency. The swelling had subsided enough for physicians to bring Luna out of her coma. When her eyes eventually opened, those stunning emerald eyes that had previously gazed at the world with such measured hunger, they were blank. Empty. As if someone had erased every memory, sin, triumph, and terror she had ever experienced. Poppy was the first person Luna saw. She sat at the bedside, clutching her daughter, the infant Luna had saved, and waited for acknowledgement which never arrived. "Sweetheart." Poppy's voice cracked. "This is Mom. You are secure now. You're home." Luna blinked slowly. "Mom." The word seemed gentle and tentative, as if a kid were testing it. "I don't know. Who are you?" The room slanted. Poppy's sobs were raw and feral. Bill, standing behind her, became quite still. "Luna," he whispered cautiously, edging forward. "You were involved in an accident. You have been hurt. Do you know who I am?" Luna scrutinized his face in the same manner that one might study a stranger on the train. "No," she whispered. "Should I?" Hope covered her mouth. Liam closed his eyes. Finn's hand grabbed Steffi's and gripped so tight that it ached. The neurologist later diagnosed it as amnestic condition. Severe retrograde amnesia, probably permanent. Luna's access to everything prior to the crash has been cut off due to the trauma. Someone had already informed her name. The woman crying by her bedside was her mother. Beyond those basic truths there was nothing. I have no memory of growing up with Poppy in that tight apartment. No recollection of meeting Bill Spencer and believing, for a brief moment, that she was his daughter. I have no recollection of the mints filled with unlawful narcotics. I have no recall of locking Steffi in a cage or standing over her with a knife. No recollection of the wrath that overtook her when the DNA test came back negative. She was essentially reborn. A blank slate with the features of a murderer. The first several weeks were mayhem covered in eggshells. Poppy hesitated to leave Luna's side, fearful that if she let go even for a moment, she might lose her daughter forever. She brought the baby every day, carefully placing her in Luna's arms, hoping that some maternal instinct would kick in. Luna held the newborn tenderly, cooing reflexively, but there was no flash of memory, no murmured, "I saved you." Just a sweet, perplexed smile. "You're very calm with her," Poppy observed one afternoon, her voice shaking with expectation. "She likes me," Luna replied simply. "Babies know when someone is safe." "Certainly." The word hung in the air like smoke. Bill also came every day, bearing crazy bouquets and that larger-than-life exuberance that normally dominated the room. He was quieter around Luna. He sat in the vinyl chair and told her stories about who he was, how he thought she was his daughter, and how much he wanted her to be. He left out the unpleasant portions. The treachery. Attempts on Steffi's life. Forged letters and months of manipulation. Instead, he spoke of possibilities, the future, and second chances. Luna listened with wide, interested eyes. Sometimes she smiled at his jokes. Sometimes she posed innocent inquiries that shattered his heart. "Did I love you?" she inquired once. Bill gulped hard. "You wanted to," he explained. "More than anything." Across town, the Forrester and Logan women circled like scared cats. Steffi couldn't determine which worried her more. Luna's complete lack of memory or the possibility that she was lying. Every instinct warned that this was another scam. Another long game. Finn, who had checked Luna personally, insisted the amnesia was genuine. The scans did not deceive. The flat expression when some names were mentioned, Steffi, Liam, and even RJ, told its own tale. Luna's brain has shut the door on anything that hurt too much to bear. "She's not the same person," Finn insisted one night in their bedroom. "Kelly and Hayes sound asleep down the hall. The girl who tried to kill you died in that car." Steffi laughed bitterly. "People don't get to push the reset button, Finn. They don't get to wash the blood off their hands because their brain fell asleep." But even Steffi hesitated when she saw Luna again. It happened at the hospital 3 days before discharge. Steffi had arrived to drop over documentation, including a legal waiver bill that needed to be signed. She promised herself she'd stay in the corridor. She lasted 30 seconds. Luna sat up in bed, legs dangling over the side, wearing the ludicrous fuzzy socks Poppy had sent. She was smiling at something the nurse had said, her voice bright and unburdened. When she saw Steffi at the doorway, her smile faltered, not from fear but from uncertainty. "Hi," Luna murmured quietly. "Do I know you?" Steffi's throat closed. She had imagined this moment 100 times. Yelling tears and righteous rage. None of it arrived. "You tried to kill me," Steffi murmured, her voice cold. Luna's face wrinkled. There was no framework for blame. Only pure childish pain. "I did what?" Her voice cracked. "I apologize. I can't remember. I can't recall anything. They told me I hurt people and I'm so sorry. This was not an act." Steffi knows some actors. She saw them every day at Forrester on screens and in her mirror. This was raw. This was a girl who learned for the first time that she had been a monster. Steffi turned and left without saying anything else. She cried all the way down the elevator. The dilemma that troubled everyone. Family, physicians, lawyers, even the tabloids camped outside the hospital, was simple and impossible. What do you do with a girl who committed horrific acts but has no memory of them? Who is no longer, in any meaningful sense, the person who committed them? The DA sought charges. The amnesia loophole did not apply to attempted murder. But the public had already hailed Luna as a hero, the angel of Mulholland Drive. One headline read, along with a fuzzy photo of paramedics removing the unspoiled infant from the wreckage while Luna lay broken beside her. Petitions circulated. Talk shows argued nature versus nurture, and redemption versus justice. Luna's face, pale, gorgeous, and achingly innocent, was everywhere. Finally, the judge ordered psychiatric treatment and house detention at Bill's estate. There is no trial yet. Not until the physicians could say for definite whether any fragment of memory would return. So Luna returned to the Spencer mansion, where she had once planned to make her permanent residence through lies and murder. She now went through its marble hallways as if she had lost her invitation. The employees gazed. Katie visited once, took one glance at Luna trailing behind Poppy like a forlorn duckling, and then went without saying anything. RJ was the hardest. He showed up on Luna's discharge day, standing on the front steps with a bouquet of white peonies, her favorite once. She took them with a bashful thank you and downcast eyes. "I'm RJ," he said, his voice scratchy. "We were together before." Luna looked up, her cheeks flushed. "I'm sorry, I can't remember. Everyone continues repeating I loved you so much." RJ laughed, a broken sound. "Yeah, you did. Until you didn't." He left the flowers on the hall table and did not return. Days progressed into weeks. Luna learned to navigate her new existence in the same way as a traveler does in a foreign city. One cautious step at a time. She realized she liked yoga, disliked avocados, and cried at puppy advertisements. She questioned Poppy endlessly about the person she used to be, growing quiet as the replies became gloomy. "Was I a bad person?" she inquired one night, cuddled up on the window seat facing the ocean. Poppy paused too long. "It's okay," Luna murmured quietly. "You can tell me." "You were lost," Poppy finally said. "You were in so much pain that you couldn't see clearly. You made horrible decisions. On the night of the accident, you made one decent decision. The best one." Luna rested her forehead against the cool glass. "I wish I remembered saving her. I wish I could be proud of something." Bill discovered her an hour later, still staring at the moonlit seas. "You are proud of something," he replied sternly, settling alongside her. "You're proud every morning that you chose to be kind even when you don't have to. That's not nothing, Luna." She rested her head on his shoulder, tentative and testing. He let her. After a minute, her hand slipped into his. He curled his fingers around hers and refused to let go. Across town, Hope prepared a welcome-home supper at the Forrester mansion that was half charity and half test. Luna appeared in a simple sundress, her hair in a loose braid, gripping Poppy's hand like a youngster on the first day of school. Eric greeted her kindly, as he finally forgiven everyone. Rich seemed stiff but polite. Brooke fluttered and overcompensated. Steffi stood at the back of the room, arms folded, watching. Luna lasted 10 minutes until the murmurs became too much. She slipped out onto the terrace to get some air. Steffi followed. For a long time they just stared at each other. Two women who had previously been willing to die at the other's hands. "I don't expect you to forgive me," Luna explained calmly. "They told me what I did with you." Steffi responded. "I can imagine locking you in that building. I've thought of killing you 100 times since the accident. Every night I dream about it." Luna flinched but did not turn away. "I don't blame you. That's the problem," Steffi exclaimed, her voice shaking. "You should blame me. You should loathe me. You should recall yelling at me from the edge and fighting back. But you simply accept it." "It doesn't matter," Luna muttered. "Not to me. What about that girl you despised? She's gone. I am not her. I'm not sure how to be her. I don't want to be her." Steffi's eyes welled up with tears which she fought to shed. "So who the hell are you?" Luna thought about it deeply, the ocean breeze lifting strands of her hair. Finally, she stated, "Someone attempting to earn the second opportunity she was given." Steffi had no response to that. Autumn bleeds into winter. Luna began therapy 3 times per week. She volunteered at the hospital's NICU, rocking premature newborns whose mothers could not be present. She learned to bake badly, and filled Bill's kitchen with burnt cookies that no one dared to reject. She accidentally called Liam Dad, and then spent the rest of the day hiding in her bed, ashamed. He found her and told her everything was okay, that biology was overrated anyhow. Memory fragments never returned. Not really. Sometimes she awoke from impossible nightmares, her heart beating and tears streaming down her face. Sometimes a smell, tomatoes and mint of all things, made her freeze in the middle of the supermarket aisle, nausea mounting. But the past remained locked away. 1 year after the accident, on the anniversary of the night that both devastated and transformed her, Luna stood on the same cliff where she had previously promised Steffi she would never let her have Finn. The roadway had been fixed. Guardrails are reinforced. The city even put a tiny plaque in memory of the young woman who gave everything to save a kid. Steffi was also there. They had not planned it. Perhaps they had, unknowingly. For a long period neither spoke. Finally Steffi added, "I still don't know how to feel about you." "I know," Luna replied. "I don't know how to feel about myself either." Another moment of stillness. Steffi then reached into her pocket and took out a little velvet box. Inside was a lovely silver bracelet inscribed with the word Grace. "I bought this the day you woke up," Steffi replied, her voice raspy. "I was going to dump it in the water. I couldn't." Luna stared at the bracelet, as if it would burn her. "I don't deserve." "Maybe not," Steffi interrupted. "But the baby does." Luna shook her hands as Steffi tied the bracelet around her wrist. Perhaps the girl holding her in the center of the fire deserved it as well. When it clicked into place, something within both of them altered. Not forgiveness, not yet. Perhaps never totally. However, this is only the beginning. Far below, the Pacific rolled in and out, endless and unconcerned. Two women stood on the cliff's edge, where everything had nearly ended, watching the waves wash the past out to sea. The infant has been saved. Luna lost her memories. And, against all odds, both of these things turned out to be merciful. The accident had left the entire family frightened, a tense moment between life and death that no one would soon forget. In the midst of the commotion of flashing lights, screeching metal and terrified cries, the only good news was that the infant lived. That miracle alone should have been enough to provide some relief, but it came at a cost no one had foreseen. Luna, formerly lively, confident, and actively involved in the lives of others at Forrester Creations, escaped from the devastation with her body intact but her mind devastated. The physicians referred to it as retrograde amnesia, a protective cloud put over her recollections caused by trauma. To those who loved her, it was like losing her without the certainty of death. RJ was the first to come to her side after paramedics cleared him to see her. He remembered every heart-stopping moment of the crash, including the sensation of being abruptly dragged forward, and the terrible twist of metal. But nothing compared to seeing Luna unconscious and pale under the hospital lights. When she awoke, he leaned forward with anticipation, murmuring her name and waiting for the spark of recognition in her eyes. Instead, she treated him like a stranger. He tried not to express his sadness. The doctors cautioned him that she might be confused and bewildered. They insisted that memories could resurface gradually, in fragments, over days or weeks. But Luna didn't seem to understand her own family, job, or difficult background, which had become so entangled with RJ's life. She asked fundamental inquiries like, "Where am I? What happened? Why are so many people here?" Her voice trembled each time, as if she could feel her own world collapsing inward. Poppy stayed nearby during those initial difficult chats, attempting to remain strong for her daughter. She had always suspected Luna's life in Los Angeles would be difficult, but she never anticipated it would come to this. Every time Luna looked through her, as if grasping for a memory that wouldn't come, Poppy felt another piece of her heart break. She continued caressing Luna's hair and humming softly, hoping that the familiar beat would reach where words could not. Meanwhile, Lee hovered in her own silent maelstrom. The catastrophe had resurrected ancient wounds and underlying resentments, about family, duty, and the secrets Poppy had concealed. While she would never admit it, seeing Luna unconscious had shocked her to the core. She had grown fond of the young woman despite the difficult circumstances that had brought them together. Lee felt an uneasy mix of remorse and protectiveness, as she watched Luna struggle to figure out who she truly was. The truth regarding the accident remained unclear. Investigators required time to ascertain whether mechanical breakdown, distracted driving, or anything more purposeful were to blame. Bill, who hurried to the hospital as soon as he heard, demanded an explanation. His protective instincts heightened, especially when he noticed the terror in everyone's eyes. Though he wasn't technically a member of Luna's family, or at least not accepted as such, he felt a connection to her that he couldn't quite articulate. He was concerned that she might have died if she had not known the truth about her biological father. Luna remained in a delicate state for some days afterward. She responded to familiar acquaintances with polite uncertainty, always apologizing as if her memory loss were an inconvenience rather than a severe injury. When Zend came to visit, remorse gnawed at him. Their convoluted history, his pursuit of her, the tragic night made worse by that ill-fated mint, felt even more awful now that she couldn't remember anything. Part of him selfishly wondered if this was an opportunity to start anew, but he knew RJ was suffering. That alone prevented him from acting on his urges. The Forresters, who were used to drama, found themselves hesitant to discuss Luna's condition. Steffi advised patience, warning them that forcing Luna to recall could cause more harm than good. Brooke, sensing RJ's concern, hovered by his side, offering soothing consolation. She had witnessed sadness before, but witnessing her son mourn the emotional loss of the lady he loved evoked a sensitivity she rarely displayed. RJ spent hours sitting at Luna's bedside, attempting to reconnect her to the life she had forgotten. He provided images of them taking selfies in Malibu, snapshots at events at Forrester, and candid moments where she was laughing or mocking him. Luna regarded them with wonder at times, but she also appeared overwhelmed, as if she was witnessing another person's entire existence. RJ tried not to let it show, but each unsuccessful attempt to elicit recognition stung deeper. One afternoon, while he was looking through the images with her, Luna paused at one, a portrait of them at the beach, her head resting on his shoulder, sunshine catching her hair. She gently touched the image and scowled. "I look happy," she said, almost astonished. "You were," RJ answered gently. "We were happy."